contender for NFL Coach of the Year, longtime assistant with the San Francisco 49ers. The Eagles have won the toss. Back deep to receive. Number 31 is Derek Witherspoon, along with 41, Fred McCrary. Both Kelvin Martin and Charlie Garner, their top two return men, are out with injuries. Todd Peterson will kick it off for the Seahawks. And we are underway in Seattle. Witherspoon from the end zone. Takes it out to the 20-yard line. James McKnight on the tackle, 21-yard return. Rodney Peete, 7-1 as a starter this season. Spent last year with the Cowboys, the previous 5 in Detroit. The men protecting Peete, the rookie Brooks, along with 5-time Pro Bowler McIntyre, McKenzie, Boatswain, and Davis. Waters, along with the fullback James Saxon, Fred Barnett, Calvin Williams, the wide receivers, and the tight end is Ed West. Waters the lone back on 1st and 10. Play action pass. Peete has the first down and more. Fred Barnett out to the 39-yard line. A gain of 19. Robert Blackman brought Barnett down. The Seattle defense, led by that man, Cortez Kennedy, joined on the line by Antonio Edwards, 14-year veteran Joe Nash, and Michael Sinclair. Moss, Wells, and Wooden, the leading tackler. In the secondary, Corey Harris, Eugene Robinson, Robert Blackman, and Carlton Gregg. First down, Philadelphia, following the 19-yard gain. Barnett in motion. Peete now 2 for 2. Ed West makes his first reception. Carlton Gray, Dean Wells combined on the stop after the gain of 8.
Well, they come out in the first play, and we talked about Ricky Waters and how his load should be increased today. Rodney Peete comes out the first play, makes it look like he's going to go to him with a little fake, but he doesn't. First 2 times they come out past the ball instead of running the football.
Waters over the 1,000-yard mark. And this is Ricky Waters on the pitch back, has the first down and more into Seattle Seahawks territory. Well, Ricky Waters told us last night, Anthony, that when he came to Philadelphia, he figured to be the man in the Eagles' backfield, but things have worked out so well with Waters and Charlie Garner that he said he didn't know what to expect today, carrying the load without the lightning half of Thunder and Lightning.
Well, he talked about him last night as we talked to Ricky Waters, and you can tell there's a great friendship that has been established there. And he said, I want to come out, have a great game, and if I score a touchdown, it will be for Charlie Garner today.
Garner did not make the trip. Movement on the line, and penalty flags are thrown. The referee today is Jerry Austin.
5 yards, it's still first down.
Anton Davis, the Eagles' right tackle.
You mentioned Anton Davis there. A lot of shuffling has happened in that offensive line from the beginning of the season. Anton Davis has been moved to the right tackle. Of course, they lost Panos at the right guard. They signed Harry Boatswain, who's had some experience with the 49ers. He was earlier this year. He was with the Panthers. Guy McIntyre has come over, a former player with Ray Rhodes in San Francisco, and they've done a super job up front.
Here's Waters, nowhere to go. Met by Antonio Edwards. Edwards in his 3rd season out of Valdosta State. Loss of 3 yards on the play.
That's one of the things coming into this football game, really, with both teams. You have Ricky Waters here grabbing the handoff from Rodney Peete, Chris Warren on the other side. Both teams were animate about stopping the run, and right there Antonio Edwards makes a nice job. He gets that penetration, and you have to do that, especially with what the teams are doing now with the quick drops or the short drops and the quick passes. You have to get that penetration.
2nd down and 17. Peete, 7-step drop over the middle. As the receiver, it's Calvin Williams up to the original line of scrimmage. And tackle number 100 for Terry Wooden, Seahawks leading tackler. This is 4th consecutive 100-tackle season.
That play right there, I think, is a prime example of what this Eagle offense expects Rodney Peete to do. They want him to throw those high-percentage passes, the quick passes, and not put this team in jeopardy of making mistakes and losing ball games.
Rodney Ricky Pete has completed his first 3 pass attempts. 3rd down and 10. Pete overthrows the intended receiver, Calvin Williams. Carlton Gray on the coverage, and the Eagles will be forced to punt.
That was an excellent pickup by Ricky Watters there. In fact, as we talked to Ricky Watters last night, he felt one of the things that the Seahawks defense was going to do is blitz him a lot. And right there was a blitz. Ricky Watters just sat right in there, picked him up, but the pass was incomplete.
Tom Hutton punts it away to the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month. Joey Galloway, who does not get the opportunity for his first return, calls for the fair catch. 37-yard punt by Hutton. Seahawks to the offense when we return. Seattle, Kenny Albert, Anthony Munoz. Early first quarter, Rick Meyer and the Seahawks start out from their own 11-yard line. In last week's loss to the New York Jets, Seattle gained less than 200 yards of offense. On first down, Chris Warren takes the handoff. AFC's leading rusher, 3rd in the NFL behind Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. Rick Meyer, 3rd year out of Notre Dame, 19 interceptions, quoted as saying, "I'm making mistakes that I've never made before." The offensive line intact. These 5 have started all 12 games. Warren with the fullback Tracy Johnson, Galloway, Blades, and the tight end Carlester Crumpler. 2nd down and 7. Warren once again bottled up. Kurt Govea and Bill Romanowski leading the charge defensively for the Eagles. Their defense ranked 3rd in the NFL, number 2 against the pass. Daniel Stubbs, Ronnie Dixon, Andy Harmon with 10.5 sacks. And William Thomas, Kurt Govea, Bill Romanowski, the linebackers, the rookie Taylor along with McMillan at the corners, Jackson and Zordich. And Rhett Hall has checked in at defensive end, his first action of the year. 3rd down and 7. Meyer to the air for the first time, and he has the first down to the tight end, Carlester Crumpler.
Talked in the opening about one of the keys for the Seattle offense, and that's Rick Meyer. We talked about Chris Warren, Joey Galloway, but the quarterback is the guy who cannot make those mistakes. You talked about the interceptions, the mistakes he's been making right here. Nice protection by his offensive line, a nice quick drop and a quick throw, and that's what Meyer does best because of his quick release.
First down from the 24. Meyer goes right side, broken up by the left corner, Mark McMillan. Right now, let's head to Hollywood for this McDonald's game break with James Brown.
All right, Kenny. Green Bay stayed on top of the NFC Central behind the hottest quarterback in the league, Brett Favre, who tossed 3 touchdown passes. That one to Edgar Bennett. They improved to 9-4 en route to the victory over Cincinnati. Let's take it back to Kenny and Anthony.
Those Packers love to jump into the stands following touchdowns. First Robert Brooks and now Edgar Bennett.
Hopefully they come back out of the stands once they jump in there.
Another big victory for the Green Bay Packers as Warren takes the pitch back, has the first down up to the 38-yard line. Greg Jackson finally made the stop after the 14-yard gain.
They know in order to be successful, they have to give the ball to Chris Warren. Right here, they have James Atkin, the big left tackle, pulling. They give him the pitch, and there's some nice open area over on that left side. This guy's just amazing. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about him, but right here you see his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard rushing year.
Out of Division III Ferrum College, Joey Galloway, his first reception today and his 47th of the season. Joey Galloway, one of the contenders for the AFC Rookie of the Year honors. He's done it out of the backfield. He's done it receiving-wise. He's done it on returns.
Well, right here, the Eagles are doing exactly what Joey Galloway told us the other day, is that they give you a cushion. He felt we had to go with the quick outs because of that cushion. Right there for the first time, they complete it to Joey Galloway.
8th overall selection in the first round of last year's draft. 2nd down and 2. Chris Warren with the fullback Tracy Johnson leading the way, and he was met immediately by the longtime Washington Redskin Kurt Govea.
He's been around for a while, and some of the talk about Kurt Govea was He's a more of an undersized linebacker. Can he withstand the stamina, the endurance of going through a whole ball game as the season goes on? But they have some good young linebackers where they can rotate them in there, and they've been doing a super job.
Ray Rhodes calls Kurt Covea the quarterback of his defense. 3rd down and 3 for Seattle on their own 45. Blades in motion. Meyer looking for Galloway. Last week, a number of overthrown passes, and once again, Meyer leads Galloway too far ahead.
Last time he was on this sideline going against Mark McMillan. That time he's going against rookie Bobby Taylor on the left side. Nice protection there at the end. He takes a little hit, but he has enough room to follow through, but he does throw the football high. As you see, the separation between Galloway and Taylor, ball just thrown really high.
First punt of the game for Rick Tootin, and it's a good one. Rob Carpenter lets it go, and the Seahawks able to down it on the 1. Ronnie Harris, number 81, gets downfield, and the Eagles will have 99 yards to march when we return to the Kingdome. 54-yard punt.
Don't put enough emphasis on special teams, but right here, Ronnie Harris knows how important it is for him. He doesn't play a whole lot at the wide receiver spot, but he can make an impact on the special teams. You see his reaction, his awareness of where the football was all the way down the field, and he backs the Eagles way back by downing that one down.
Seahawks hitting the Eagles back on their own 1. Rodney Peete looking downfield. The intended receiver, Chris T. Jones, the rookie who played for Seahawks coach Dennis Erickson at the University of Miami.
Well, Rodney Peete was able to go back right under his own goal post. And the thing that made this possible was a nice blocking up front. As you see right here, Chris T. Jones on Corey Harris. One-on-one, has a couple steps on him, but the ball just overthrown by Rodney Peete. Again, when you're backed up inside, right by your goal line, that's when pass protection becomes really important, and you cannot afford to get that holding penalty.
Ricky Waters lined up in the slot. Peete goes the other way. Good coverage from Carlton Gray. The intended receiver was Fred Barnett, so it will be 3rd down and 10. Eagles from their own 1-yard line.
It's amazing, after 13 years of myself playing in the NFL, now as a broadcaster, you know, you spend some time before the game down on the field, and I had a chance to talk to Carlton Gray, who is from Cincinnati, Ohio, where I make my home now. And I look at this guy, and first of all, they always bring up, I used to watch him play when I was about yay high, you know, and he'll point to about up to my knees, and he says, you know, they look like little kids, but you know they're professionals now.
Flag on the play prior to the 3rd and 10.
Prior to the snap, simulating the start of a play, number 22 of the offense, half the distance to the goal. It's still 3rd down.
Well, we talked about Charlie Garner in the opener not being in there because of his broken thumb. That one called on James Saxon, number 22, who is replacing Charlie Gardner.
Simulating the start of a play.
I guess that's a way of saying motion, I guess, huh?
Peete out of the end zone, dropped by Ricky Waters.
Right there, you can tell by his reaction, it's just a matter of wanting to run before you catch the football. One of the things you have to do is make sure you look the football in, you catch the ball, and then you worry about running. Right here, you see again, right underneath the goalpost, nice protection, and it's just a matter of getting Ricky Waters the ball quickly and letting him get some extra yardage, but he does not hang on to it.
Hutton from the end zone. Galloway fields it at the 42. Joey Galloway down to the 40-yard line of the Eagles. Fred McCrary made the tackle. 57-yard punt. 18-yard return by Galloway. Dennis Erickson, who led the University of Miami to 2 national titles He was a candidate for the Eagles job before Philadelphia hired Ray Rhodes. Dennis told us Friday, normally at this time of year, he's finished recruiting and getting ready for the bowl games.
You can tell it was taking a little bit of a toll on him physically. It's a long season.
Meyer goes near side. Brian Blades, the leading receiver on the Seahawks, 7th in the AFC, gains 8 yards on first down.
And we talk about Coach Erickson, and of course one of the things we talked to him about was Rick Meyer, his quarterback, and he said he basically views Rick Meyer as a rookie this year. He's still learning, feels that exactly what he did there, the quick drop and the quick throw, rolling him out, is best suited for his ability, especially with his, as I mentioned earlier, his quick release.
On 2nd and 2, here's Warren. Has the first down out across the 30 to the Eagles 28. 4 more yards for Chris Warren.
Chris Warren, we also talked to him, and he, jokingly, Coach Erickson was walking by and he said 25 times. That's how many times he wanted the football. And right there you see his nice vision, makes that nice cutback as the Eagle defense starts to the right. He takes it back, but he feels he gets stronger as the game goes on with each carry.
He's 1/5 of the way to 25. Meyer on first down. Galloway makes his 2nd reception of the day. 6-yard gain. Jerome Henderson forced him out of bounds.
The great thing about what they're doing right now with Galloway and Blades, the quick drop, you see this cushion right here. That's a lot of yardage, especially with Galloway, and I'm sure they respect his speed tremendously. And right here, a high percentage throw, but you better believe that's a good way of setting up the long pass, because that cornerback starts creeping up, and with that 4-1, 4-2 speed, it gives him a chance to go deep.
On 2nd and 4, the pitchback goes to Warren, turns the corner, and has the first down.
And right there, he just basically outran Andy Harmon, who was chasing him from behind, and really made an effort, dove at Chris Warren's feet, but he wasn't able to get him. You see right here, Andy Harmon coming across and trying to make the stop. You see big House Ballard, number 75, pulling out in front of him. Right there is just speed and gets around the corner. Chris Warren, he says, I'm not that well known around the league, but that doesn't matter to me. Right now, he's 6 carries for 26 yards. He just wants to accumulate the yards and win football games.
There he goes, accumulating a couple more. Inside the 15-yard line of the Seahawks. Warren, in his 6th year, he told us he was brought in to play special teams as a rookie out of Ferrum.
A lot of times that makes it nice. And also, you come in and people don't expect a whole lot of you, and then you do what he has done, and it's just amazing, especially with these 2 running backs. You have Waters on one side, Chris Warren on the other side. You better believe there's some competition with the competitive spirit, one trying to outdo the other today.
Brian Blades down to the 7. So the Seahawks moving the ball well during this drive. They go to Galloway, they go to Blades, they use Warren. Many offensive weapons here in Seattle.
They really do, and it makes it so nice for your quarterback that you're trying to put in a position not to make mistakes and not to lose the game for you. They realized last week they didn't play that well, so they come out today with some high percentage stuff.
On 3rd down and 1, it looks as if Warren forced his way ahead for the first down. Impressive first quarter for the Seahawks offense following their game last week. They had won 3 games in a row. They had the opportunity to pull to 500, extend their winning streak to 4. Yet in what Dennis Erickson called their worst game of the season, they lose to the Jets 16-10 and do not provide much offense. Chris Warren has the touchdown. His 11th TD this season.
Right now, what you have a Seattle Seahawks offensive line that is basically dominating the Eagles' defensive front. A defensive front that started the season strong against the run, but there's been a constant decline here as the season's gone on. And right there, it's just a matter of a blue shirt on a white shirt, creating a seam, and Chris Warren using his athletic ability to get through the hole.
Holder is Rick to Todd Peterson for the point after. The Seahawks lead is 7-0. 5-yard touchdown run by Chris Warren. His 11th trip to the end zone in 13 games. Career high 11 rushing touchdowns for Chris Warren. Anthony, you talk about special teams paving the way. First, Ronnie Harris and the Seahawks pin Philadelphia on their 1. They are forced to punt. Galloway brings it back 18 yards. Seahawks start from their own 40, from the Eagles' 40, and reach the end zone. 2 good special teams plays prior to the touchdown. This is Witherspoon.
That's exactly why when I talked about the emphasis that should be put on special teams, each guy on the special teams, he might not be playing on offense or defense, but as you see right here, Ronnie Harris, he's excited about playing special teams, and that's how each guy should take the approach once he's out there on the coverage team or return team.
Remember, Harris down the ball on the 1 earlier, and now he makes the tackle. 9 offensive plays for the Eagles. They have punted twice. Philadelphia starts out from their own 23-yard line. Ricky Waters, the lone back. Waters takes the handoff, cuts right. And after a short gain, he is met by Michael Sinclair, along with Dean Wells, gain of just 1.
Right now, the Seahawk defense is dictating what the Eagles do on offense. Right there, they tried to run the ball left, but because of the excellent penetration along that defensive front, Ricky Waters had to try and take it out to the right, but then the pursuit was there for about a 1-yard gain.
3 wide receivers on 2nd down and 9. Beat the quick slant. Calvin Williams taken down by Corey Harris. Harris, an interesting story. He was drafted by Houston as a wide receiver, then went to Green Bay, where Ray Rhodes shifted him to the defensive side of the football.
What better guy to do that than Ray Rhodes, who actually was shifted himself. In fact, he talked to us about his first start as a cornerback, and what names did he mention? Billy Kilmer, Roy Jefferson, Charlie Taylor, and the coach says, get out there and you're going to play a little man-on-man on these guys, and that was his introduction to the defensive secondary.
Rodney Pete on 3rd and 2. Calvin Williams could not hold on. Harris on the coverage once again.
Right there, he was manned up, made an excellent play, knocking that football away. And right here, well, look, and the Eagles are doing what they need to do. Quick drop, get back there in a hurry, Rodney Pete, get the ball away. But when you have a nice defensive play like that by Corey Harris, it doesn't matter.
3rd punt of this first quarter for Tom Hutton, with Galloway awaiting. End over end. Takes a Seahawks bounce. And it is down on the 30s. No, it was scooped up by Eugene Robinson. And it will be Seahawks ball from their own 38-yard line. Anthony, the music event of the year is coming to Fox. Catch the superstars of pop, rock, country, and R&B performing the year's biggest hits. It all happens on the 1995 Billboard Music Awards. Live this Wednesday at 8, 7 Central, only on Fox.
You're going to be watching? I saw Hootie, one of your favorite, isn't it? Are you going to be watching that?
I'm sure we'll both be tuning in this Wednesday night.
Okay.
The Billboard Awards from New York right here on Fox. The Seahawks go to work from their own 39-yard line. Just under 2 minutes to go, first quarter. Warren out to the 41. He was held to 63 yards last week by the Jets, but he's put up some impressive numbers in this first quarter. Warren with the touchdown just moments ago. Finals from the early games. Dolphins came back, beat the Falcons by 1. Minnesota 31, Tampa Bay 17. The Rams, Saints, Packers also winners. Warren up the middle, bottled up, so it will be 3rd and long.
Well, the last 2 plays, Kenny, earlier you mentioned number 97, Rhett Hall, into the lineup in the last 2 plays. He has shown that he has not missed a whole lot as he takes that offensive lineman. Right here, you see Red Hall, number 97, going against right there. Joyce just kind of tosses him aside. The play before that, he didn't toss him as easily there, but he got rid of the offensive lineman. And he did mention to me before the game, I had a chance to spend some extra time in the weight room, and right there it shows.
Meyer on 3rd and 7. Galloway makes the reception, first down and more. Finally tripped up by Jerome Henderson. Joey Galloway with the 22-yard reception.
Well, the guys up front, the last several weeks, they've been rotating on the left side with Atkins and Matt Joyce, rotating with Roberts and Blackshear, but now they're going to just stick with the 5. Nice protection there, and here we go again. A quick out. Mark McMillan jumps on it, takes a chance. He picks that one off. It's 6 for the Eagles, but Galloway makes the catch. McMillan doesn't make the pick, and it's first down.
On the play fake, Meyer goes far side. It's Galloway once again, his 4th reception of this first quarter, and that is number 50 on the season for the rookie out of Ohio State.
Well, they go to McMillan, right side. Now we'll go to Bobby Taylor on the left side. They're saying we got to give each one of these corners some action. Right there you see it, nothing fancy, just takes it upfield, stops, the ball's there. It's that cushion once again that those cornerbacks are giving them.
And that will do it for the first quarter from the Kingdome, with the Seahawks ahead of the Eagles by the score of 7-0. 4 yards in the first quarter as the Seahawks lead by a touchdown.
Oh, you look at Joey Galloway right here. You look at a good 9 yards of cushion. What you need to do, I think these guys got to be a little tighter and count on these safeties to give you some deep help, especially Seahawks continuing to go with this quick pass, the quick out, or right here, just a quick hitch. You got to expect those safeties to give those corners some help.
On 2nd down and 1, Meyer with the play fake, takes it himself, has the first down and much more. Out of bounds on the 11. 17-yard gain for Meyer.
One of the things the Eagles have been doing well all season is they're number 1 in the NFC in sacks. They get some good pressure here on the quarterback, but Rick Meyer, with his athletic ability, pulls it down. He sees that right side of the football field wide open with Chris Warren out in front of him, putting a little block on Gavea there. He looks like maybe a little bit of Chris Warren in his jeans there.
Well, not quite.
Well, okay, I got a little excited there.
Although he did run for 17 yards. And this is Chris Warren, who does not look like Rick Meyer on that one.
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, it's amazing. We talked the 3 guys in the opening we felt would be a key for this Seattle football team is right there. You see the yardage, but Rick Meyer having off to an excellent start, 7 of 9, 68 yards. Warren, nice yardage as he's running the football. Galloway, you know, off to a good start.
Galloway with more combined yardage receiving and return-wise than the Eagles in the first quarter. 2nd down and 10 on the 11. Meyer out of the pocket with time. Takes a hit on the far side. So it will be 3rd down and long. Meyer brought to the turf by Bill Romanowski.
We talked to Chris Warren again. He said one of the things that they wanted to do with him is get him out there in open space. And you could tell from the beginning that he was, Rick Meyer was looking right here, going in motion, going out to catch a pass, and Rick Meyer rolls that way. But if you see right here, Carlester Crumpler just standing around. He's coming out here. He's saying, hey, I'm open, I'm open. But Rick Meyer doesn't want a chance throwing that football across the field to maybe make a mistake on that play. He just takes his loss and goes on.
Loss of 1. Romanowski credited with a sack. Here's Meyer, takes it himself once again. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Rick Meyer.
A little Chris Warren on that one, maybe?
Certainly.
Well, it appeared right from the get-go that that was a quarterback draw. And why not? Right here, you look at Ray Rhodes, who told us of his athletic ability. Right here, uses it. Right here, we'll see. He just goes back to pass, and he quickly sees it open up on the left side there. Crumpler makes a nice block, and then he just gets away from Greg Jackson to score, to get those last 3 yards on his own. But right from the beginning, quarterback draw, 12-yard run.
Myers' 4th career rushing touchdown. Todd Peterson on the extra point. And the Seahawks out to a 14-0 lead on the Eagles early in this second quarter. What a drive for Meyer. Runs of 17 and 12 yards. This, the touchdown. Anthony Munoz. And that is Rick Meyer. 2 carries, 29 yards on that scoring drive. Seahawks ahead 14-0. Witherspoon for the Eagles from the 9. Brought down at the 25. 2 flags on the play. 16 yards on the return. This officiating crew, Anthony, worked the Thanksgiving Day game between Kansas City and Dallas. Quite an honor to work the nationally televised Thanksgiving Day game down in Irving, Texas.
That says that you're doing an excellent job when you get those big games. This crew, you know, and that's one of the things you look forward to as an officiating crew. Get the big games, national televised. You wait till the end of the season. Hopefully you get the playoff games and eventually the Super Bowl.
The discussion continues. 2 penalty flags during the return by Witherspoon.
We have 2 fouls on the play. We have an illegal block, number 81 of the kicking team. We have holding, number 88 of the receiving team. Both fouls occurred during the run back. They'll be offset at the spot of the receiving team's foul, which is at the dead ball spot. 1st and 10 from the 25.
Purpose for a draw is you want to let the pass rush develop, either a draw to the running back or a quarterback draw. Right here, you let the, and what happens is it opens up right here, so as soon as he gets here, he wants to find that crease.
On 1st down, Ricky Waters is swallowed by the Seahawks defense.
And we'll finish this thought on the draw here. When the team is rushing the passer hard, you let the defensive lineman go, the offensive lineman take it right here. If we can just freeze it, you see that opening, and of course you need blocks downfield. Carlester Crumpler gets one there, and then as a runner, you make something happen right there. He breaks the tackle from Greg Jackson, takes it in for a touchdown.
2nd down and 9. Eagles going with 2 tight ends. Pete, Waters. And Waters has the 1st down out to the 37-yard line. And then has some words with Robert Blackman. Gain of 11. So Pete had completed only 1 of his previous 6. Goes to Waters out of the backfield.
I'm sure there wasn't any words there exchanged, huh? One of the things you want to do when you have a back like Ricky Waters is get him out of the backfield, match him up one-on-one with the linebacker. Of course, a running back like Waters is going to have more speed, so it automatically creates a mismatch, and you have it right there for the 1st down.
Ricky Waters once again. Ricky hates to talk on the football field, right?
Yeah, I could tell by the way that he was talking last night that he hates to talk. And I made a mistake that I said for a 1st down, and it was. But, yeah, you can tell just the personality that he has. And I don't know if that's something about the Notre Dame football players, because I've had a chance to talk to Jerome Bettis. We've seen him, and the same thing. They just kind of overflow with charisma and personality.
Waters with only 6 yards on the ground on 5 carries. Pete rolling right. The tight end, Jimmy Johnson. He was down. Carlton Gray picked up the football, but Johnson was ruled down. Tackled by Winston Moss.
Another nice call by the offensive staff, John Gruden. Right here you see the tight end, a nice fake to the left. It's just a little bootleg. Tight end Jimmy Johnson fakes the block, then he just comes out because he knows Rodney Pete's going to be rolling that way, and he really doesn't have a blocker in front of him, and you got to get rid of it quickly.
Johnson's 6th catch of the season. 3rd down and 5. Pete airs it out. has the receiver and the first down. It's Rob Carpenter, the former New York Jet, spent 3 years with the Jets. 29-yard gain from Pete to Carpenter.
Really what happened on that play and made it possible, the coverage wasn't that bad. As it starts out right here, not bad protection. He's going back a little deeper with this drop. You see Davis taking Michael Sinclair around the corner, which allows Pete to throw it up. But here you see at the end, Rob Carpenter waits the last second before he goes to the football, and the secondary man is looking for that, and they cannot make the defensive play.
On first down, Waters turns the corner down to the 23-yard line. Ricky Waters, a teammate for 2 years at Notre Dame with Seahawks quarterback Rick Meyer.
And you better believe, we talked about the running back situation, and Rick Meyer is off to a good start. He wants to be the former Irish that wants to have the great game today, not his former teammate.
And Ricky Waters has just set a new career high for rushing yards in one season, 1,018. Still 3.5 games to go. Waters had trouble. He bobbled the handoff and then cuts across the 20.
Almost looked like he was going to start to dribble that one on the carpet, but he did gain control of that, or regain control. I don't know which one that would be, because I don't think he really ever had the ball. But
first he regained, then he gained, then he regained.
And then he gained yardage.
Exactly. And Ricky Waters, we talked about his career high now for rushing yards in one season. He's carried the ball more times this season than in any of his years with the 49ers.
That was one of the things he expected to do when he came over to Philadelphia.
Here's Waters on 3rd and 1. Has the first down, upended by Corey Harris.
Again, we talked about Corey Harris right there, called on not to defend the pass, but come up and make a tackle. He does a good job. We'll take a look at number 30, Corey Harris. As right here you see Calvin Williams coming in motion, attempting to make a block. Guy McIntyre has been known to pull out and block a few defensive players in his time.
First down from the Seahawks 16. Pete will go to the air. Fred Barnett could not hold on. Well, Anthony, you mentioned Guy McIntyre, the 5-time Pro Bowl left guard. Longtime San Francisco 49er. When Ricky Waters held his post-game press conference last week after he went over the 1,000-yard mark against Washington, he wanted McIntyre to come into the press conference with him in recognition of his blocking, and McIntyre said, "What for?" Here's a guy who does not want the recognition, just goes out, does the job year after year.
Timeout.
Played on 3 Super Bowl teams, 5 Pro Bowl squads. And the Seahawks now call timeout with 8:17 to go in this second quarter from the Kingdome. Seattle leading 14-0. The man he is going up against this afternoon, the 4-time Pro Bowler, Cortez Kennedy.
And that's something rare. You say the man he's going up against. Usually there's a couple men that he's going up against, as he's been double teamed ever since he established himself as a Pro Bowl player.
Here's Waters running left side this time. Taken down by the combination of Terry Wooden and Dean Wells. 6 yards on the play. Well, Cortez Kennedy told us that last week's loss to the Jets was the most disappointing loss. It hurt more than any other game in his National Football League career. Looking to get back on track as a team here today, and they lead by 2 touchdowns.
Well, they definitely come out with a different emotional level this week compared to last week when they turned the ball over early and got behind early. Offensively, they've looked pretty good here.
3rd down and 4. Fred Barnett pushes his way down to the 7. Flag on the play. Corey Harris on the coverage. He may be called for a late hit.
Well, either that or it might be pass interference on the offense. The defender was right there. You see one of them pointing, not here, but you saw the 2 guys in the end zone going back and forth, and the Seahawk player was signaling pass interference, and that's exactly what the official said.
Offensive pass interference, number 89, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
Number 89, Calvin Williams, who right here you see him as the inside receiver. Corey Harris slides to the inside, Carlton Gray comes out on him. Fred Barnett takes it quickly to the outside. Right there, you see an arm around the face mask, but that wasn't the call. It happened in the end zone between Calvin Williams. And one of the, right here you see, as Calvin Williams and Carlton Gray, you don't see it there, it probably happened earlier than that.
So that leads to a 3rd down and 14. Ball spotted on the 20. Ray Rhodes, leading candidate for Coach of the Year. This club lost their final 7 games during the '94 season. Started out 1-3, but they have won 7 of their last 8. 5-1 against the NFC East. Coming off victories over Denver, the New York Giants, and the Washington Redskins consecutively. On the play as Pete looks to Barnett in the end zone, but there was motion at the snap.
Well, I believe Michael Sinclair, number 70, came across the line of scrimmage. We'll wait and see if he was drawn off, but if he wasn't drawn off and he was offsides, the Eagles had a free play and they continued with it.
Number 70, left defensive end, 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
Kenny, let's go back to that pass interference play and let's see if we can see what happens. This is Williams here on the outside. He takes Carlton Gray into the end zone. You really don't see a whole lot there, but he was called for it. I was trying to look and see if maybe that inside arm kind of pushed off, but it didn't appear that that happened.
3rd and 9. Pete looking end zone once again. The intended receiver, Calvin Williams. Pete let him just a bit too much. So the field goal unit trots on for the Eagles.
The reason he overthrew that football, Kenny, is one of the Seattle defenders was hitting his arm just as he threw the football. And right here, if he looks inside, has some time, Barnett's wide open. But as I said, he really didn't have the time to throw the football. He had the pressure by that Seattle front 7.
33-yard field goal attempt, Gary Anderson. And that is his first miss this season from inside 40 yards. He had hit his previous 12. So Anderson is wide on the 33-yard field goal attempt. Back from the Kingdome in a moment. Veteran Gary Anderson, longtime Pittsburgh Steeler, 4th on the NFL's all-time field goal charts, wide left from 33 yards out.
Well, you mentioned the years in the league, and something like this should not affect him. He's been around long enough that he should be able to shake this off. And but still, he's going to think about those things. As you see him right there, nobody really talking to him, and that doesn't happen a whole lot after you miss a field goal.
Not sure if this had an effect, but he injured his foot, the arch of his foot last week, attempting to tackle Brian Mitchell of the Redskins on the opening kickoff. Red Hall in on the stop, dragging Chris Warren down. We mentioned Hall earlier, former San Francisco 49er, diagnosed with blood clots on his lungs back in September.
See him right here in the inside, getting nice penetration once again. You saw as he was running off, he snapped his, actually broke his chin strap as you saw it hanging off his helmet. We've got a chance to talk to him before the game, and I'll get into that a little bit.
Fire on 2nd down, under pressure. And he is sacked. William Fuller now with 8.5 sacks this season.
Fuller was there along with teammate Andy Harmon. You see Harmon here. You really can't see Fuller right now. He comes from the outside, going against House Ballard. He beats him to the inside, makes the initial hit. And right there along with him, as I said, Andy Harmon. That's one of the things Fuller has always had, is that nice inside club when you get that deep offensive tackle leading to the outside.
3rd down and 19 after the loss of 9. Meyer under intense pressure, gets it off to Warren. Dives across, and let's see, he has enough for the 1st down. Diving out to the 34, a gain of 20.
Well, you're taking your chances a lot of times when you come with the blitz, as the Eagles do. They bring Michael Zordich, number 36, right here to the left. William Thomas And that puts a lot of stress on the guys remaining back there. And that's what Chris Warren enjoys doing. He likes getting out there in the open space. A great effort there to make the dive and to get the first down.
He knew exactly where the marker was. First down on the 34. Meyer pump fakes, lobs it up. Incomplete, intended for Brian Blades. Bobby Taylor on the coverage. Right now, let's head to Hollywood for another McDonald's game break with James Brown.
Hey, Kenny, Dallas on the scoreboard thanks to a controversial pass interference call on Darrell Green. That set up what is a layup for Emmitt Smith, his 22nd touchdown run of the season, more than any team in the NFL. Dallas on top by a touch. Kenny, Anthony.
Well, you talk about Chris Warren scoring his 11th touchdown of the season. Then you look at Emmitt Smith with twice that number.
He is phenomenal. And Kenny, that last play, we talked about it earlier, setting up that long pass with the out, and he gave the fake. Right here, another sack by the Eagles.
Daniel Stubbs, your former teammate in Cincinnati, you did not play last year.
You see him right here at the right defensive end, playing for the #1 pick, Mike Mamula. He just kind of is there, kind of feeling his way around, and all of a sudden he sees the opening, he gets in there. But head coach Ray Rhodes said when he brought him in this year to camp, the coaches looked at him and said, "Who's this guy? What's he doing here?" Ray Rhodes said, "Just give him a chance. He will make plays," and he certainly has done that.
Flags on the play. Meyer.
Red Hall has been getting excellent penetration right there. He gets it a little too early.
Number 97 of the defense, 5 yards. Repeat, third down.
Kenny, when you've been out of action as long as Red Hall has been out, right here you see him. He wants to get into the action quickly, and right here just a little too soon before the action is supposed to start, and the penalty is called on number 97 there. Well, you get word that he also, I noticed he busted his chin strap, but the lip went along with that chin strap, but he's back in there.
Very eager to play for the first time this season. There was some thought he would miss the entire 1995 campaign. Meyer on 3rd and 6. This is Steve Broussard. Flag is thrown on the play. Broussard about 4 yards short of the first down. It is holding on the Seahawks.
Holding, number 52 of the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
That's the right guard, Kevin Mawai. I was waiting to say that that name, and hopefully I didn't mess it up. But, he's been playing extremely well. Had a chance to talk to Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach. Of course, the whole offensive line didn't play that well last week against the Jets. But prior to that, been doing a pretty nice job.
Rick Newton under pressure, but nearly blocked. Rob Carpenter from the 15-yard line. Carpenter cuts right on the sideline, steps out at the 38. 47-yard punt, 27-yard return by Carpenter. Munoz back in Seattle. There is 37-year-old Art Monk, the NFL's all-time leading receiver, signed by the Eagles this week. He is on the active roster. Also holds the NFL record with a reception in 180 consecutive games. And this is a first down for the Eagles as Pete hits Chris T. Jones, who we spoke about earlier, as we take one more look at Art Monk, the longtime Redskin.
Look at Art Monk there, and talking to Ray Rhodes, you know, he wasn't, he didn't sign this, Art Monk and feel that it was just a kind of a thing to do. He wanted to sign him so he could help the team win football games, and it's all a matter of, how the game goes, if he gets in there or not.
And we have not yet seen Art on the field. A couple of flags thrown as Ricky Waters was taken down by Corey Harris.
Offsides. Number 70 of the defense. 5 yards. Repeat first down.
That's Michael Sinclair, the left defensive end, called for the offsides.
Second time right there. You can tell he's not real excited about it as you look at him here at the left defensive end. No question about it. He was across the line of scrimmage before the ball was snapped.
Go, D! Lucky, lucky, lucky!
First down and 5. Waters the lone back. 2 tight ends. Johnson in motion. Play action pass. Pete over the middle. Calvin Williams inside the 20 down to the 15. Eugene Robinson finally made the tackle after the 27-yard gain. Pete to Williams.
And Rodney Peete made that throw. I'm sure not seeing that Antonio Edwards, the right defensive end, was there, but he had to be feeling him because he got close to him, but he stood right in there. Calvin Williams got open. The throw gets there for a first down.
Now the Seahawks 15-yard line. Williams' 3rd catch for 41 yards. Waters inside the 5 down to the 3. First down, 12-yard gain for Ricky Waters, so it will be 1st and goal as we approach the 2-minute warning.
Ricky Waters doing a nice job just picking his hole and running through it. You'll see he'll start out here, but then nice blocking by that offensive line. Right there you see number 69, Harry Boatswain. You see number 80, Reggie Johnson, making a nice block.
2-minute warning from the Kingdome. Eagles trailing 14-0. NFL record for consecutive games with a reception at 180. Well, when Harold Carmichael of the Eagles retired in 1983, he held the record for consecutive games with a catch at 127. Who broke Carmichael's record? That is our Aflac trivia question. Art Monk is the current record holder, but that could end today if he does not enter the ball game. He is on the active roster. 1st and goal. Eagles on the Seattle 3. Batted down by the middle linebacker, Dean Wells.
Right there, Dean Wells doing a nice job. He didn't have the penetration. He wasn't close to Rodney Peete. But the next best thing is just get your hands up. Right there you see Winston Moss blitzing. And right there you see him with his left hand, number 95, Dean Wells, knocking down that one.
2nd best shot blocker in Seattle behind Sean Kemp. 2nd down and goal. Waters met by Eugene Robinson. Waters stopped on the 2-yard line, so it will be 3rd and goal.
Nice job by that Seahawk defense. There's a couple plays that can get you fired up. First knocking down the pass, and then right here, as you see that right side of that defensive line slanting to the inside a little bit, but it's Eugene Robinson, number 41, who comes up and makes sure with the second effort that Ricky Waters doesn't get into the end zone.
Chance of defense here at the Kingdome. 3rd and goal. Saxon has checked in at fullback. Waters to the outside. Touchdown, Philadelphia Eagles. Ricky Waters' 9th touchdown, his last 7 games.
Well, they tried it to the inside last play. Right here, they just give it to him, and they say, with your speed, just take it to the outside. And he does that as he comes across the backfield. Nice blocking there. Who else is in front of him but number 62, Guy McIntyre? And there's no way that Ricky Waters will ever forget what number Guy McIntyre wears, because he runs behind him quite a bit.
Anderson nails the extra point. So with under 2 minutes to go in this opening half, the Eagles have cut Seattle's lead to 14-7.
Here you go. You see number 32, number 62. Nice block on Eugene Robinson. He says, okay, I'm gone. Right here, he said he wanted to score a touchdown for his buddy Charlie Garner.
Charlie did not make the trip. Watching back home in Philadelphia.
Well, you got thunder, but right now there's no lightning.
And there is thunder. Ricky Waters. We asked Ricky last night, how did you guys acquire the nickname Thunder and Lightning? He said, I don't even know. I think we gave it to ourselves. We're always talking in the locker room and on the field.
He said if he doesn't walk into the locker room and start talking, Charlie Gardner does. He says, we're always trying to get the guys fired up, maybe yelling, we're not working hard enough, there's not enough emotion. So you better believe they talk quite a bit.
6-play drive covering 63 yards. 1:14 to go in this first half. Anderson kicks it off. Steve Broussard up the left sideline. And he is finally pushed out of bounds by Jerome Henderson. 38-yard return by Broussard, who's 8th in the AFC kick return department. Anthony, the answer to our Aflac trivia question. When Harold Carmichael retired, he held the record for consecutive games with a catch. The man who broke his record, longtime Seahawk, Hall of Famer, now Congressman Steve Largent, out of the state of Oklahoma.
Out of Tulsa. In fact, when you talk about class, there's a class individual right there, Steve Largent.
Ironically, one of Largent's teammates in college at the University of Tulsa was Eagles coach Ray Rhodes. Let's see what the call is. Incomplete pass or fumble. Daniel Stubbs made the hit on Meyer. And it was recovered by the left tackle, James Atkins.
Well, once again, you have number 93, Daniel Stubbs. As Coach Ray Rhodes says, right here, you see him coming. You see Fuller coming around the end. He just continues to make plays right there. He's going one-on-one with the Atkins. James Atkins, the left tackle, beats him around the corner. Here we look at it. Definitely a pass. His arm was going forward.
The ball is returned to the spot where the fumble occurred.
Hear the call by the official, and there's no question about it that
well, the official ruling, Anthony, a sack and a fumble. Atkins made the recovery. Here's Broussard. Spins across the 40. Out to the 44-yard line. Timeout called by the Seahawks with 26 seconds remaining in the first half. 13 yards on the carry by Broussard. Coming up on the Dockers halftime, join JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy for scores and highlights from around the NFL. That's all coming up next on the Dockers halftime.
Well, he called that a sack and a fumble. To me, it appeared that he was definitely starting his throwing motion. Thought it would have been an incompleted pass.
4 sacks today for the Eagles. They came in tied for the NFC lead with 37, so that is 41 sacks in 13 games. A defensive unit which Ray Rhodes says is just a bunch of guys off the streets.
That's right. As we take a look at Rick Meyer, he goes back. You see the hand coming. Actually, it looks like the motion is going forward, but the official calls it a sack and a fumble. And right there, if that was a fumble, it was a near fumble recovery right there. I don't know. I personally think it was an incompleted pass, but I'm not making the calls down there.
26 seconds to go. 3rd down and 7. Play action. Meyer across midfield inside the 40. Brian Blades. And the Seahawks call their final timeout. Down to the Eagles 37 with 16 seconds to go, second quarter.
Right there, you see the conference going on by Erickson, Rich Olson. We'll take a look at that last play. You know, for an offense that didn't do a whole lot last week, you see right here a 19-yard completion to Brian Blades. It's nice protection, plenty of time. Enough time to bring the ball down and say, no, I don't want to go there, so I'll go to Brian Blades over the middle. As Rick Meyer is 10 of 13 for 108 yards. No timeouts left for Seattle. 16 seconds left.
The ball's now on the 37-yard line. As you mentioned, no timeouts remaining. They look to go towards the sideline. The intended receiver was James McKnight. So it will be second down, 3 seconds, tick off the clock.
And I think that ball might almost hit Mark McMillan in the head as you look at Todd Peterson, the kicker for the Seahawks. Season long of 49 yards, just waiting there for an opportunity with 13 seconds left.
This would be a 50-yard field goal if the Seahawks do not pick up any more yardage. The pass batted at the line, and we are now down to 9 seconds.
You know, the thing that I don't understand, and I see this a lot around the league, with the 3-step drops, the quick releases, I don't see the linemen chopping down the defensive linemen to get their hands out of the way. Right here, let's take a look at this. I would think you see Daniel Stubbs here, you see James Atkins, number 74. Okay, you know the quarterback's going to throw the ball. Boom, take his legs out from under him, make him get his legs down, and you have to do that. You have to give the quarterback the throwing leg.
9 seconds to go, third down and 10. Myers' pass is complete. Can Blades get out of bounds? Yes, he does, with 2 seconds remaining. Terrific effort by Brian Blades, who knifes his way to the sidelines.
Well, he just got the football out of bounds to stop the clock with 2 seconds.
And a flag was thrown as well.
And the Seahawks are pointing towards the Eagles.
Holding, number 26 of the defense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Kenny, that penalty was on Jerome Henderson, number 26. Right here you see Brian Blades against Mark McMillan. McMillan, he goes, oh, he got it back. And then you see Michael Zordich trying to slap the ball back in. Right here, just extending his body, knowing he has to get out. And he does get the football on the white. Gives him a chance to kick a field goal here.
47-yard attempt. Peterson's career long is 49. The kick by Peterson makes it through. As the first half comes to an end, Todd Peterson connects from 47. The Seahawks lead the Eagles 17-7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue with the Doctors halftime after this message.
But they're great balance. I mean, passing 96, they got 80 yards rushing, and I really believe that's been a key for the Seahawks football team. They've really kept the Eagles off balance the first half.
And not only has Rick Meyer done a good job in the air, but also on the ground. 2 carries for 29 yards, including a 12-yard touchdown run.
Well, we kidded about it and said there were some similarities between him and Chris Warren, but, you know, bottom line is he got the job done right here on the draw, did a nice job breaking the tackle and then getting into the end zone with the football to score the touchdown. But you have to give credit to that offensive line. They really opened up those seams on that run.
Rick struggled last week. In fact, Coach Dennis Erickson told us he would not be afraid to insert John Freeze if the game warranted such a move. But the Seahawks lead by the score of 17-7, and Seattle receives the opening kickoff here in this second half. Steve Broussard down the far sideline gains 27 yards.
And they've been able to attack this Eagle defense exactly the way they told us that they needed to. And right here, we'll take a look at passing by zone by Rick Meyer, and you can see right here that most of their stuff has been happening underneath, and they told us because of the cushion that the Eagles defenders give them, that was the area of attack today, and they've been successful.
And the Seahawks start out this third quarter on their own 34-yard line. Warren the lone back. And the pitch back goes to Chris Warren. Out to the 38-yard line. Bill Romanowski made the stop. Warren in the first half, 38 yards on 13 carries. So he and Ricky Waters have just about canceled each other out. Waters with 40 yards and Warren 38.
You know, one of the things that I've been noticing with this Eagle defense, you'll see Michael Zordich coming up, and this isn't the only time that he's come up and attacked the line of scrimmage and really caught himself on the opposite side of the football. Right there is just one of several times that he's done that.
Second down and 7. Here's Warren again across the 40 to the 42. So it will be 3rd down and approximately 2.5 to go.
Last week they talked about how ugly they played, how terrible, lack of emotion. They weren't ready coming out. One thing they did mention, several guys mentioned about last week, is that they didn't have a good week of practice. They talked about what a great week of practice they had this week, and it's obvious that their emotional level is a lot higher today just by the way they're coming off the football and able to dominate at times, most of the time.
3 wide receivers, 3rd down and 2. Broussard lined up as a wideout. Flag on the play. The intended receiver was Steve Broussard. Michael Zordich on the coverage.
Had a chance to talk to Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach, before the game, and he really had some high comments about Steve Broussard.
Defense, number 93, lined up in the neutral zone, off sides, 5 yards, 1st down.
As you hear the official call the number of Daniel Stubbs, the right defensive end. See him right here. Getting back to Steve Broussard, the thing Howard Mudd was really impressed with more than his ability to carry the football was his work ethic. Right there you saw Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach, who not only played in this league for a long time, but has coached the offensive line for a long time. I had a chance to play for him over at the Pro Bowl, and he's one of the top technicians in the league.
You went to the Pro Bowl?
I think it was one time I went over and played with them.
I did not know that.
I got to inform you on some of this. As you're teaching me about hockey, I will inform you about my career.
How many Pro Bowls did you play in? Let's see, 1, 2, 11.
I was over there, I think, 11 times. I don't know if the quarterbacks that I played for would have said that I actually played. You know, with the as an offensive lineman, you go over there and try to come together in 2 days where the defensive linemen are just shooting off the ball and they're looking at that MVP award. We kind of struggle over there at times.
Well, it was Chris Warren last year who set a Pro Bowl record, 127 yards rushing, broken later in that quarter by Marshall Faulk. Here's Warren, met by William Fuller and Kurt Govea. So Warren was in the Pro Bowl record books for about 5 minutes.
And you mentioned Marshall Faulk. These guys, the ability they have running the football. You know, you talked about Chris Warren, Marshall Faulk. We saw some highlights of Emmitt Smith earlier, Ricky Waters. I mean, these guys just do things that I kind of dream about being able to do with that football.
And right now it is 3rd down and 8 from the 49-yard line. Seahawks leading 17-7. Meyer goes near side, intended for James McKnight. Coverage by Mark McMillan and good pressure from the defensive line.
We've talked about it several times. This Philadelphia Eagles defensive front, their ability to get to the quarterback. Right here you see William Fuller coming around the corner. You see him coming up the middle. And on that play, what happens, the ball is actually in the air before McKnight makes his cut. And it was all about timing, but still, the timing pattern is not, they don't complete it because of that pressure.
Punt by Tootin, fielded at the 16-yard line by Carpenter, who was upended immediately by Brent Williams. Early 3rd quarter, 35-yard punt by Tootin. Kenny Albert with Anthony Munoz. Philadelphia Eagles trailing by 10. Their first possession of this second half as Rodney Peete goes to work. Throws far side, and he hits Waters out of the backfield. Short gain, 2 yards on the play. Rodney Peete now 10 of 18, 129 yards. But the Eagles, who came in second in the entire National Football League on the ground, averaging over 148 yards per game. Only 40 yards rushing in the first half, all by Ricky Waters. No other Eagle carried the ball. As they are without Lightning, Charlie Goddard. Here's Waters once again. Big hole out to the 30. First down for the Eagles.
And that's exactly what they have to do as we take a look at it right here. 2 and 3, Philadelphia and Seattle. We saw that Seattle, the first half, they were successful running the football. They have a 10-point lead. And in order to get back in this football game, this is what the Eagles have to do. You see right there, Harry Boatswain doing a nice job on number 98, Sam Adams, creating that hole on the right side, giving Waters a seam for a nice game.
Waters again on first down. Pushes his way for about 2 yards. So Ricky Waters, the workhorse, without his buddy in the backfield, Charlie Garner. Waters today, 14 carries, 53 yards. Nobody else on the team has carried the ball.
It'll be interesting to see how, usually with Garner in there, he doesn't have to continue to carry the ball as the game goes on that many times. It'll be interesting to see if he gets stronger or if he gets weaker as the game goes on. And where's James Saxon?
Waters' tendency is to get weaker in terms of yards per pass play or per rushing play. Here's Waters on the deflection by Cortez Kennedy. Loss of 3 on the play.
That was number 24, Selwyn Jones, making a nice play. But you see right there, Cortez Kennedy, number 96. The screen is being set up. McIntyre lets him go by. But it doesn't affect the spiral on the ball, and it still gets to Ricky Waters. But if he just gets up just a little bit higher, it might be 6 for Cortez Kennedy.
3rd down and 11. Four wide receivers.
They're all coming.
Pete's pass off the fingertips of Calvin Williams.
Good thing he got it off because the Seahawks had a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage. As we'll take a look here, Winston Moss coming off this side. They have all the guys up. And Rodney Peete knows he's got to get rid of it in a hurry. As you see, Blackman coming up the middle, number 25. And a nice play by Tony Brown.
Hutton forces Galloway all the way back inside the 10. He's trying to make the Willie Mays basket catch. Running back towards his own end zone. And the Seahawks will start out deep in their own territory when we return to the Kingdome. 10:02 to go, 3rd quarter. Seahawks leading it 17-7. Where the Seahawks lead the Eagles by the score of 17-7. Seahawks 5 wins, 7 losses. Still an outside shot at a wild card in the AFC, pending what many other teams do over these last 4 weeks. Chris Warren takes the first down handoff and works his way all the way up to the 23-yard line. 13 yards on the first down carry by Warren.
Wow, Kenny, number 71, Mike Chalinsky's in there for William Fuller. And they just give it to Chris Warren, and they just go through that right side like nobody's in there for William Fuller. Big hole opened up by House Ballard, number 75. All of a sudden, it's up to the secondary to make the tackle.
On first down, Galloway makes the catch, steps out of bounds at the 28. For Joey Galloway, that is reception number 5 on the afternoon.
We look at it again. You see Mark McMillan, number 29, and he's already starting to turn and go backwards. That's how much respect he has for Galloway's speed. But there's such a big cushion, they just go to that quick pop.
Warren. William Fuller on the stop, along with Rhett Hall. Anthony, on Saturday, it's a Fox NFL special as the Arizona Cardinals battle the San Diego Chargers. Join Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson as they head to the announcer's booth to bring you all the action. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Check local listings for the time in your area. Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson out of the studio into the broadcast booth.
Now, is Jimmy Johnson going to play coach and demand Terry to give him time to talk?
I can't wait to hear what those guys have to say about Cardinals head coach Buddy Ryan. And Jerry Glanville, Anthony, will move to the studio for the afternoon.
That'll bring some excitement.
The Seahawks will be forced to punt following this incompletion.
An incompletion that should have been caught right through the hands of Joey Galloway.
That's a rare sight.
It really is. I mean, those are the things that Eugene Robinson talked about, this kid. I mean, he's got great hands, not only with his phenomenal speed.
Good punt by Tootin, forces Carpenter back to the 16. But Carpenter earns the yardage back. 20-yard return following the 55-yard punt. The Eagles offense back on when we return to Seattle.
Big bird.
Saturday, the Cardinals and the Chargers. Sunday, the Sportsman of the Year. I hope he's taking Monday off. Eagles keep it on the ground on first down. Ricky Waters, 15 carries on the day. Eagles have punted 4 times over their first 6 possessions.
Missed field goal, and they have their 1 touchdown that came on a 63-yard drive. Really something that they've not been able to do is put some drives together. You have to give that Seattle Seahawks defense a lot of credit. One thing they've not been able to do is hit those short passes.
Play action, Pete rolling right. Looks to escape the pressure. He fumbles. And it looks as if the Eagles have recovered. What a hit Pete took.
Well, he was trying a bootleg coming out. You'll see him come around this way, but the tight end couldn't get loose. And all of a sudden, right there, you see Ed West, number 83. Nice coverage by Corey Harris, number 30. So Rodney Peete takes it down, and then it's Sam Adams, Antonio Edwards putting the hit on him. But the Eagles do recover the fumble.
And they actually gained a yard, so it's now 3rd down and 8. Carpenter in motion. Pass is complete, but not enough for the first down. Fred Barnett taken to the turf by Selwyn Jones.
We'll take a look here. Cortez Kennedy, number 96, along with a host of others. You'll see him right here. You can't miss him going against Guy McIntyre one-on-one, along with a host of other blue shirts right there. But a nice play by Selwyn Jones.
4th and 2, and it looks as if the Eagles are going for it. 4th down and 2 on their own 45, and now Philadelphia calls timeout. 6:13 remaining. Big 4th down play coming up from the Kingdome. Ray Rhodes and the Eagles trailing by 10. Rhodes and the Eagles will go for it on 4th and 2. What do you think, Anthony?
I think there's still a lot too much time to go for it on, especially 4th and 2. I could see 4th and less than a yard, but this defense has been playing really well. I got to second guess this call right here.
4th and 2. Pete will go to the air. Incomplete. The intended receiver, Rob Carpenter, with Carlton Gray on the coverage.
Boy, he almost came up with a great catch, but he didn't. And that, I don't know. That right here, you see it. Rob Carpenter, one-on-one against Carlton Gray, and he does a nice job. He's right there, and at the last second, comes up, but Rob Carpenter still has a chance to catch the football, but he just can't come down with the ball. But man, that was a tough one. And now, Seahawks have excellent field position.
They start on the Philadelphia 45-yard line. Play action pass is incomplete off the right hand, off the fingertips of Brian Blades.
And the Boo Birds are out. That was just a horrible pass. That ball was thrown so high, it didn't give Brian Blades a chance to catch it. And I'm sure Rick Myers knows that he did that. He was open. As you take a look here. Little slide to the right, get the defenders moving one way, and he just, wide open. There's not a Eagle in the screen within 5 to 10 yards, and he just overthrows him.
We'll try again on 2nd down, swings it out to the left flank. Chris Warren back to the original line of scrimmage. So it will be 3rd down and 10.
That was one of the things they mentioned that they wanted to do, was get Chris Warren out in open space. He was that time against William Thomas, number 51 of the Eagles, but Thomas does a nice job.
And there is offensive coordinator Bob Bratkowski, if the name sounds familiar to Philadelphia Eagle fans. His father Zeke, the former assistant with the Eagles, now the offensive coordinator with Rich Kotite in New York.
sometimes the genes are passed down as far as players. Right here, you have coaches that one doing what the father did.
On 3rd and 11, what a catch by Galloway right around the first down marker. 11 yards on the pass play. They spot the ball on the 35, and it is a Seattle Seahawks first down.
Well, after overthrowing Brian Blades, Rick Meyer lays it out there nicely for Joey Galloway, and with his speed, with Bobby Taylor trailing, he just goes out and he gets the football to make the catch.
So the Seahawks on the 35-yard line of the Eagles. Joey Galloway 6 receptions today, and the Seahawks call timeout. 5:12 remaining in this third quarter as Meyer heads to the sidelines. John Freeze, the backup quarterback, looking on as well. Anthony, he's been wounded in battle. His platoon has been massacred. Now one soldier has to fight for survival on the most hostile planet in the universe. Don't miss a brand new episode of Space Above and Beyond tonight at 7, 6 Central on Fox. And right now, during this timeout, let's head to Hollywood for another McDonald's game break with James Brown.
And we'll take you down to Dallas and show you what Washington is doing to the Cowboys. Heath Schuler finds Henry Ellert. Blast for the end zone. Believe it or not, Redskins leading Dallas 14-10 in the third. Let's take you back to Kenny Albert.
All of a sudden, a race brewing in the NFC East. Philadelphia comes in 2 games behind Dallas, who trail the Redskins in the third quarter. Eagles and the Cowboys will meet next week in Philadelphia. Chris Warren. Gain of 3, so it will be 2nd down and 7. Anthony, you mentioned the father-son combination with Bob Bratkowski, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and his dad Zeke. There is Chuck Knox Jr., defensive assistant coach with Philadelphia, 30 years of age. His father, Chuck Sr., longtime head coach here in Seattle, then went on to the Rams, and Chuck Sr. is here in the Kingdome today, watching the Seahawks and the Eagles.
Had a chance during halftime to say hi to Chuck Knox, father, here in the hallway as we were getting ready for the second half.
The son was busy.
Yep, I'd say so.
Here's Meyer with pressure from Andy Harmon, and he throws it away. Meyer heard footsteps. Harmon 10.5 sacks this year, 2nd in the NFC.
Smart move on the part of Rick Meyer, just throwing that one out of bounds. We'll take a look at the coverage. As we take a look here, he goes back a little bit, looks left, but then he's going to the right. But he's looking right here, right here. Everyone's covered. Right here, you see them all covered, and he just kind of throws this one out of bounds, not taking a chance. Plus, not to mention those white jerseys that are breathing down his back.
3rd down and 7. 3 wide receivers. Broussard is the lone back. And Broussard takes the handoff on the draw play, has the first down. On 3rd and 7. The Seahawks hand it off to Broussard, and he gains 16 yards.
Having Steve Broussard, number 31, back there is a nice changeup for the Seahawk offense. You see him back there. He's the lone back, taking over for Chris Warren right now. Takes nice block by Kevin Mawai right there on the right side. Just enough of a crack to give Broussard, who has super speed, to get through that line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden it's up to those defensive secondary guys to make the tackle.
Broussard with 2 counters today. The first one went for 13. This one, 16 yards.
Not a bad average.
Good supplement to Chris Warren. Tracy Johnson could not hang on. Mark McMillan was there. The pass intended for the fullback, who has not had a reception all season.
Maybe that was an indication why he hasn't. But he should have had that when Mark McMillan nearly comes down with an interception as Meyer rolls to the right to get away from the pass rush. And right there, you see it right through his hands. In fact, he has a good chance to score if he catches this one. He's got to, get through Mark McMillan. And then McMillan should have had that one, too, on the interception.
Warren stuff on the second down run by Kevin Johnson, number 94.
Can I tell you what, having Red Hall back in there, they can definitely feel his presence. You know, he's not going to be in the shape that he'd like to be because he's missed so much action, but he has been a factor in the plays he's been in there on the field, getting into the backfield, making tackles. So I'm sure head coach Ray Rhodes is happy to have Rhett Hall back in the lineup.
Only 9 of 69 all season on 3rd and 8 or longer. Meyer taken down. It is Kevin Johnson once again. Fifth Eagles sack of today's game.
It's nice when you can have some depth like the Eagles do with their defensive linemen, being able to rotate them, bringing in some fresh guys, as you see number 94, Kevin Johnson, getting the sack on that play. Right here, you see all the blue and white shirts together. Everywhere you see a blue shirt, there's a white shirt sitting right there next to them.
Todd Peterson out for the 35-yard field goal attempt. Peterson now 2 of 2 today. Hit from 47 earlier. Seattle's lead is now 20-7. Back from the Kingdome with just over 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Anthony Munoz from the Kingdome. The Seattle Seahawks ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles in somewhat of a surprise, 27. Eagles have won 7 of their last 8. 3 consecutive victories, and they play Dallas next week.
That'll be a big one. They got to get past this one first. As we talk to the guys, they're not looking past this one.
Derek Witherspoon run out of bounds by the kicker. Todd Peterson makes the tackle after the 41-yard return by the free agent out of Clemson, Derek Witherspoon.
Little excitement going on here. Let's take a look at the wedge as they form. They'll come back together and they'll form right here as the ball is caught by Witherspoon right here. You see the guys making nice blocks, creating that hole to the right. You know, and it's more than just coming back and sitting there. It's all about timing. You can't see the guy behind you, so you got to time it and then take off, coordinate all that.
Here's Waters on first down. Taken down behind the line by Terry Wooden. Anthony, that 41-yard kick return by Witherspoon matches the longest kickoff return this season by an Eagle, and they thought that that area would be a problem without the injured Kelvin Martin and Charlie Garner, their 2 top return men, both out with injuries, but Witherspoon does a good job setting the Eagles up in terrific field position.
Well, in this league, that's what happens. You lose guys, and then it's time for the guy that's stepping in to really make some plays, and that's exactly what he's been doing.
And the Eagles know that. They've lost a number of starting players this year. Pete on 2nd and 12 over the middle. They have the first down. Rob Carpenter, 13 yards, his second reception today, and a flag was thrown behind Rodney Peete. Looks to be on the Seahawks.
Roughing the passer. Number 96 of the defense, 15 yards from the end of the play. First down.
Number 96 is Cortez Kennedy, who got a hit just a little late on Rodney Peete as they march it off in addition to the reception. You'll see him come from the other side right there. In fact, it's 98. He said 96, but right there you see it. Sam Adams, the other defensive tackle.
Yes, referee Jerry Austin announced number 96, but it is Adams, number 98. Waters down to the 23. So the 15 yards gained on that penalty moved the Eagles all the way down to the 25, and then Waters gains 2. Waters now 52 yards. Chris Warren 12 more, and they both have scored a touchdown.
Not a big difference that separates the two. As we talked about earlier, the competitive drive, the juices get flowing, and you want to outduel the guy on the other side.
Here's Waters. They came in numbers 3 and 4 in the NFL behind Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. That should be the final play of quarter number 3 from the Kingdome. Quick third quarter. The only scoring the 35-yard field goal by Peterson of the Seahawks. 15 minutes to go. It's Seattle 20, Philadelphia 7. From the Kingdome with the Seahawks ahead of the Eagles 20-7. And if Philadelphia is doing any scoreboard watching, they are aware that the Cowboys are losing to the Redskins. Philadelphia came in today 2 games behind Dallas in the NFC East. And the Eagles have not fared very well in the fourth quarter this season. They've been outscored 98-51, and they have never won when trailing after 3 quarters, 0-4. Here's Fred Barnett. Has the first down, pushes his way inside the 10, dragging Carlton Gray and Robert Blackman with him.
And this is exactly what the Eagles need. They know they're going to throw the quick pass, the quick drop, the quick pass. So it's up to the wide receivers to beat the secondary people. Something that you have to give so far to the Seahawks secondary. They've been doing an outstanding job. But right there, the Eagles make a nice completion.
From the 8-yard line, first and goal with double tight ends. Ricky Waters. Waters down to the 2.
If I was Cortez Kennedy on that play, I think I'd be complaining quite a bit. It appeared that Raleigh McKenzie kind of pinned him to the ground as he pulled him down, but there was no call. But he did affect. You see right in the middle of it, it's kind of hard to see, but you see right there, there was a takedown move, and that's what made Ricky Waters change and go to the right.
Was that 96 or 98?
It was definitely 96.
No doubt that time. Waters has his second touchdown today. His 4th straight game with 2 touchdowns.
And that looked like a familiar play right there with number 62 pulling out, leading the way, Guy McIntyre. Same play that they scored on before. We'll take a look at it. And right there you see number 62 pulling out. And there it is. Ricky Waters just going right into the corner of the end zone. Corey Harris making an attempt. Little face mask action there. But not till Ricky Waters gets in for 6.
The extra point by Anderson. Waters matches his career best. 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. The Eagles have pulled within 6. Fun here in Seattle. Do you have a chance to toss the fish?
No, I've had tossed salad before, but not tossing fish.
Here's the kickoff by Anderson, bouncing out of bounds.
Kickoff out of bounds.
We'll take another look at the scoring play for the Eagles. Right here you see Guy McIntyre pulling around. Ricky Waters will just sit right back in behind him and taking it in for a score. Right there you see the down blocks by the other guys, and right there you see a nice block by Fred Barnett. All of a sudden there's Corey Harris saying, uh-oh, I got the big guy McIntyre on me. Got to try to use my speed, but it's too late. Ricky Waters gets in the end zone.
4th consecutive 2-touchdown game. 10 rushing scores this season. And following the out-of-bounds kickoff, the Seahawks take over on their own 40-yard line. Pittsburgh goes to Warren. And he is upended behind the line of scrimmage by Red Hall.
And the person that made that play happen was the outside linebacker, William Thomas, number 51. He came upfield. He was firm, turned it back in, and right there, Red Hall made the play. See Rick Meyer just kind of quick toss. Let's get the ball to Chris Warren. There's Thomas, 51. He turns it back in, and when you do that, you have the rest of your buddies running over to make the play. One thing Thomas doesn't want to do is get hooked and allow the ball carrier to go outside of him.
Meyer on second down. Slides out across the 45. Gain of 6 yards. Clock continues to run as we approach 12:45 remaining in this 4th quarter. The Seahawks lead is just 6.
Take another look at the pressure. You see Andy Harmon getting some nice pressure, which impresses me because this is a short drop, a quick fake, look up, but no, right there's some pressure. You can't have your offensive lineman almost in your lap there as Andy Harmon causes all that.
Third down and 4. Myers steps up, has the first down. So the Seahawks now into Eagles territory. Today's game is presented by authority of the National Football League. Is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the expressed written consent of the Seattle Seahawks and the National Football League is prohibited.
And some of that shuffling, which coming into this week was not going to take place, is taking place. You have at left guard now Jeff Blackshear, number 69 for Matt Joyce.
Same combination of 5 offensive linemen as we see the reverse. Here's Galloway. Galloway out of bounds at the 44. What I was about to say, the same combination has started all 12 games this year as a smiling Joey Galloway. Earlier this year went 86 yards on a reverse.
Right here, you see the line going to the right, Warren making a nice handoff. And I tell you, anytime you get the football in Joey Galloway's hands, you see all the white jerseys as they try to make tackles just laying all over on the ground. And of course, he just scampers right out of bounds. If he doesn't have to take a hit, might as well not.
So we asked Galloway what he received for winning the Special Teams Player of the Month award. A letter from the commissioner, that was it. He did not even know the award existed as Warren breaks loose down to the 25-yard line. So the Seahawks continue to spread things out using Galloway, Blades, Warren, Meyer having a good afternoon. 23-yard gain by Warren.
As we take a look, it's just straight ahead blocking. You see just a small gap there. And with his speed, Chris Warren just takes, right here you'll see it. He starts there, then he takes it back. And there wasn't a huge hole, but with his quickness, right now he's 83 yards on 22 carries.
Meyer on first down, hands it off to Warren. Looked as if he slipped as he took the handoff.
Started to the left, and he tried to stop and go to the right. And that's exactly what happened. He lost his footing. But he's so deceptively quick. It looked like he was just getting to the line of scrimmage 2 plays ago. But then right away, you just kind of broke through there, and he's in the secondary.
No gain on the previous play. Second down and 10. Joey Galloway once again inside the Philadelphia 20.
Right now, this Eagle defense cannot afford to give up a touchdown here to the Seahawks. And you see that cushion once again. Galloway just going about 5-6 yards, stopping, coming back. And Eric McMillan right there to push him out of bounds. I mean, that's good enough. 7 yards on that catch. I'll take it any day.
7 receptions, 68 yards. Third down and 3. 3 wide receivers set. That's batted high in the air. Bill Romanowski with the good defensive play. And right now, let's go to Hollywood for another McDonald's game break with James Brown.
Kenny, the Redskins continuing their surprising play. Take a look at Troy Aikman, picked off by Stanley Richard out of the University of Texas, former #1 draft pick with the Chargers. And the Redskins have the ball and are threatening. Let's take you back to Seattle. Kenny and Anthony.
Redskins defeated by the Eagles last week, 14-6. Here is Todd Peterson, 2 of 2 today. This attempt from 37 yards out. Peterson now 3 of 3. The Seahawks have extended their lead to 9 points. It's now Seattle 23. Philadelphia 14. Back from the Kingdome in just a moment. Todd Peterson does not think things are so funny today. He's tied his career high with 3 field goals. kicks this one off to the deep man, Derek Witherspoon. Flag thrown on the play as Witherspoon was forced out of bounds by Selwyn Jones after the 25-yard return.
During the run back, illegal block from behind, number 55. Half a distance to the goal, first down.
Number 55 is Nate Dingle, who was just called up from the practice squad during the week.
Right there, he's holding his hands up like, who, me? The special teams coach right there, Danny Smith, in his face. Sure telling him we need 2 scores. We can't afford to start off inside our 10 like we are now.
Not the impression you want to make in your first game after being called up. Eagles start out from their own 9. Heat will go to the air on first down over the middle. It is incomplete. The intended receiver, Ricky Waters, with Dean Wells on the coverage. Well, the Seahawks leading by 9. Hope to remain in contention for a wild card spot. Here we see the division leaders. Buffalo, Pittsburgh clinched the division title with their victory over Houston, and Kansas City at 10-2 out west. We turn to the wild card race. Indianapolis lost. Miami won.
Right here, the top 3, not in those teams, but the 3 will go.
So should Seattle win, they would move to 6-7 as Rob Carpenter makes the reception out to the 19-yard line. So with the victory today, and of course there is still a lot of time remaining for Rodney Peete and the Eagles, but should the Seahawks win, they would move to within 1 game of a possible wild card spot with 3 to play, and Seattle will play Denver next week.
And all 3 teams here are winning right now in their football games.
And Philadelphia, of course, with Dallas losing, hopes to pull within 1 game of the Cowboys in the NFC East. Pass complete on the far side. It's Ricky Waters, forced out by Winston Moss. Speaking of the NFC East, how about the Redskins, who defeated the Cowboys back in October, 27-23 at RFK in Dallas. The Redskins lead 21-10. Next week it will be Dallas at Philadelphia right here on Fox at 1 p.m.
Boy, and if the Redskins can hang on right there, you see Randall Cunningham warming up.
Waters, first down across the 30.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the Redskins can hold on, if there's any way that the Eagles can come back and win this football game, man.
Last week, Rodney Peete pulled out of the game against Washington for 2 series. Ray Rhodes said the Eagles needed a spark. Could they go for another spark here in the 4th quarter?
Well, right now, they started inside of their 10. They have a pretty nice drive going.
Peete on first down, lofts it up. Calvin Williams makes the catch out of bounds. Covered on the play by Carlton Gray. Midway through this 4th quarter, Eagles need 2 scores, trailing the Seahawks by 9. Remember, Gary Anderson missed a field goal earlier from just 33 yards out.
That could loom big in this ball game, but right here you see Carlton Gray really squeezing Calvin Williams to the sideline. There has to be more awareness by the wide receiver, Calvin Williams, on how close to the sideline he is.
2nd down and 10. Peete under pressure. Gets rid of it for Ricky Waters. Gain of just 1. So it will be 3rd and 9 right now. Let's head to Hollywood for this game break with James Brown.
Kenny, biggest upset of the season brewing as the Redskins, with Terry Allen leaping over for the touchdown, his 2nd of the day, leading the Cowboys 21-10, just about at the halfway point of the 4th. Take it back to Kenny and Anthony.
Dallas 10-2. Previous losses to Washington and San Francisco. They could go down to the Redskins again. Peete on 3rd and 7 over the middle, incomplete. Looking for Williams once again. And Carlton Gray, boy, have we mentioned that name a lot today on the coverage.
I tell you, if the Seahawks, and again, there's a lot of time left, but if the Seahawks can continue to play the way they're playing and hold on to this football game, and they give game balls out, you mentioned one Carlton Gray, and there's others in that secondary that are well deserving of that.
Tom Hutton punts it away. Joey Galloway from the 27-yard line, weaving his way upfield, brought down at the 35. 8-yard return following the 40-yard punt. Just 6:37 to go from the Kingdome. Seahawks leading by 9. Back to the Kingdome in Seattle. Kenny Albert with Anthony Munoz. Seahawks leading the Eagles 23-14. Ricky Waters with both Philadelphia touchdowns. Chris Warren a 5-yard TD run. Rick Meyer 12-yard touchdown in the first half. And 3 Todd Peterson field goals. Seahawks up by 9. 6:37 to go. Seattle with 3 wide receivers. The lone back is Warren. Brian Blades turns for the first down across midfield. Nice spin move to cut away. And Blades picks up the first down. 19-yard gain.
Well, like I talked about the Eagles wide receivers not being able to do a job against the Seahawks secondary. Right here you see Brian Blades and all the other Seahawk receivers doing a nice job against the Eagles secondary. Right there, just a simple out. Bobby Taylor not bringing him down with the initial contact. You have to make that tackle. If you're going to give up that throw with that much cushion there, you got to bring him down.
Blades' 5th catch of the afternoon, under 6 minutes to go. Warren looks to cut outside, and then he is taken down. Next week, Fox NFL Sunday will kick off with a battle between NFC Eastern Division rivals as the Dallas Cowboys take on these Philadelphia Eagles, plus other exciting regional action. It all begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. 2nd down and 9 for the Seahawks. Meyer, quick drop, goes far side to Blades once again. Another first down for Brian Blades.
The same play that they completed 2 plays ago. And the one thing that the Eagles have not been able to do as they complete it for 12 yards is take the Seahawks out of either their passing game or their running game. They've not been able to force them to do one or the other. The Seahawks have been successful doing both, and they continue to just take it down the field and keep the Eagles off balance, as you see right there. Now, I don't know about a linebacker on Brian Blades. That's a tough job for Bill Romanowski to have to guard a receiver like Brian Blades.
1st and 10 on the 34 of Philadelphia. Meyer under pressure lets it go, and he had to throw it away with 2 Eagles coming towards Meyer. He throws it out of the end zone, so it will be 2nd and 10.
That was a nice call. You know, after doing all the outs and the quick throws, they try to go deep, keeping those cornerbacks honest and making sure they continue to get that cushion. And right there you see a good 8-yard cushion against Mark McMillan. Little stop and go. But Mark McMillan do a nice job. A little assistance with that arm. He gets that out there, and that was past the 5 yards.
From the 34, Warren cuts right, turns the corner, and is taken out of bounds by number 58, Derek Oden. Clock continues to run with 4:20 to go. With the Eagles trailing by 9, let's take a look now at the NFC playoff picture. Green Bay with the victory today. Dallas losing to Washington in the 4th quarter. 49ers play the Bills tonight. And the NFC wild card race, Philadelphia at 8-4. Chicago will face Detroit tomorrow night. Atlanta lost to Miami. St. Louis defeated the Jets. And Philadelphia calls timeout. 4:13 to go in this 4th quarter. 9 points, Seattle lead. 3-14, Chris Warren on the sidelines. It'll be 3rd down and 10 for the Seahawks on the Eagles' 34. Tempers flare following the tackle.
Kenny, my guess here is that it's going to be 3rd and 5, offside by the Eagles.
Nose tackle was in the neutral zone on the defense. 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
You don't blame head coach Ray Rhodes for being upset here. As you take a look, Rick Meyer working right there. You see him. Brett Hall, who we've called his name quite a few times, having a nice game, but with just over 4 minutes left and you need to score twice, not the thing to be doing here. Well, Kenny, they told us that they needed to attack them underneath, and it's obvious that they've done that and they've been successful.
Meyer rolling right. Takes a hit. With under 4 minutes to go, Meyer stayed in bounds, so the clock continues to run. Now Philadelphia calls timeout. Their final timeout with 3:56 to play.
Well, they hold them. If what they get is a field goal, they still are within striking reach here. 2 scores, and we'll take them right back in. In fact, if they do hit this field goal, they'll put them up by 12, and with 2 scores, they still can take the lead.
Todd Peterson has already hit 3 field goals today from 47, 35, and 37 yards out. And they have reset the clock to 4 minutes. They have added 4 seconds. Once again, Anthony, next Saturday, it's a Fox NFL special as the Arizona Cardinals take on the San Diego Chargers. Join Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson in the broadcast booth. It's the Cardinals and the Chargers. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Check local listings for the game time in your area. A 45-yard field goal attempt. Peterson hit from 47 as time expired in the first half. Peterson now 4 for 4. He's had tryouts with 13 NFL teams over the last 2 years. He's moved 8 times. Spent 2 years at Navy, 2 years at the University of Georgia. And here today, Todd Peterson, a career day, 4 for 4.
As you take a look at it here, just right. He's seen a lot of the country, and right now he's glad he's up here in Seattle, and so are is the coaching staff and his teammates, as he's done a nice job here this afternoon.
Peterson actually played 2 games with Arizona last year, kicked a game winner in overtime against Washington at RFK Stadium, doing it in his hometown. But this is his first full season in the National Football League. 4 of 4. 26-14 Seattle lead with 3:55 to play. Derek Witherspoon, who had a big return earlier of 41 yards, is back deep. The Eagles have won 7 of their last 8, 3 in a row. Their losses have come against the Buccaneers, Chargers, Raiders, and Cowboys. Philadelphia trailing by 12. Witherspoon from the 4-yard line. Up the middle, still on his feet. Taken down at the 32. So that is where Rodney Peete and the Eagles will start from, following the 27-yard return by Witherspoon.
You know, it's interesting, Kenny, as we talked to Rodney Peete a couple days ago, or yesterday, we asked him about looking past the Seahawks and looking towards that Dallas Cowboy game next Sunday, and he said, no way can we. You know, the way they've been playing today, sure, the Seahawks have been playing well, but that might be something that you can point to and say, were they looking past the Seahawks to the Cowboys?
Peete over the middle. It's headed for Carpenter. And you can also ask yourself, were the Cowboys looking past the Redskins towards the Philadelphia Eagles?
That's very true.
In their earlier meeting in Dallas, Cowboys defeated the Eagles 34-12. Eagles will finish up hosting Dallas in Arizona. And they travel to Chicago, finishing out the season. 3:39 to go. Pete on second down. Pass was deflected. So it will be 3rd and 10.
This Seahawk defense is, they're in the right position at times, and they might not be near the quarterback, but they're getting their hands up. They're knocking balls down. They've had an outstanding game defensively so far. As you look at Greg Mackin, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, who's done a nice job putting together their scheme today.
Third down and 10. Carpenter in motion. He goes far side to Carpenter, well short, about 7 yards short of the first down.
Now I think they have to go for it here. They need 2 scores as the time continues to run down. 3:15.
Remember, the Eagles went for it earlier on 4th and 2 back in the 3rd quarter and did not make the first down. This is 4th and 6. Flag on the play as Carpenter makes the catch, has the first down out across midfield. But a flag was thrown at the time of the snap. 15-yard gain by Carpenter. He's been Philadelphia's leading receiver today.
We got illegal motion on the offense.
But
number
this,
80 and number 86 are both moving at the same time without resetting. 5 yards. Repeat, 4th down.
So it will be 4th and 11. And now the punting unit will come on.
Right there, you take a look at.
Or at least they started to trot out. Now they come back. The punter, Tommy Hutton, was about 20 yards out, halfway towards the line of scrimmage, and then along with the entire punt team. But the Eagles will go for it on 4th and 11. Pete with time has the receiver and the first down on the near sideline. Clock continues to run. The catch was made by Calvin Williams.
It's interesting. Earlier in the game, I talked about the secondary of the Eagles and doing something right here. First of all, it starts out with nice protection by the Eagles front line. Gives Rodney Peete a chance to step up and hit this pass.
16 yards, first down. Peete to Waters over the middle, and once again, second time today, Ricky Waters could not hold on.
The thing the Eagles were able to do on that last play, the corners were up tight on the wide receivers, and they were looking for help from the safeties, but they were able to just get between the corners and the safeties and complete that pass.
2:25 to go. Eagles with no timeouts remaining. Eagles with 3 wide receivers split. Peete lobs it up, and it is picked off by Robert Blackman. Blackman with the lateral to Carlton Gray. Blackman's 4th interception this season, his 3rd the last 3 weeks. And that is the first turnover of the ball game.
Like a nice option quarterback when he pitched that one back to Carlton Gray. That ball was just thrown up. Pete expecting Rob Carpenter to go after it and get it, but it was just overthrown by too much. And Blackman just sitting back there. We'll take a look at it here, and Rodney Peete, plenty of time. He just throws it up, and you see right there the closest receiver. Well, it was actually thrown between Barnett and Carpenter, but Carpenter was the one that the ball was intended for. But it was right here. You see him coming, but the ball is just overthrown. And Blackman sitting back there in the cover 2, just waiting for the ball to come his way. The ball does come his way, and he intercepts it.
Just over 2 minutes to go. Chris Warren escapes one tackle, escapes two. So Chris Warren adding to his impressive totals, now 26 carries for 92 yards.
That run right there was all Chris Warren. It was clogged up in the middle, and he takes it to the outside. You see right here, he starts here, then he takes it to the outside. He puts a nice move on William Fuller. Right here, you see it. Hold, not there, Kevin Johnson, number 94. And right there, William Fuller has a chance. But as he grabs for his leg, all he gets is an armful of air.
Warren comes together with Kevin Johnson as we hit the 2-minute warning from the Kingdome. The Seahawks on the way to their 6th victory of the season. Munoz from Seattle. Following the conclusion of the Seahawks and the Eagles, we will take you to the Redskins and the Cowboys. That's coming up next. .157 to play. The Eagles have won 3 in a row, 7 of 8. But they trail the Seahawks 26-14. Many long faces on the Eagles sidelines. Max Strong, the fullback. There's the ball for the first time today.
Well, you mentioned the long faces on the Eagles sideline. They were, I mean, that's all they talked about was how important this game was. This is a big game. This is a big game. But they come here as the clock ticks down.
.90 seconds to go. 12-point Seahawk lead. I'd like to thank our producer Pete Macheska, director Peter Bleckner, as Meyer takes it down to one knee. The men crunching the numbers: Barry Hockhauser, Ben Boma, Clark Pierce, Aaron Solomon, Carol Porter in the truck. The Redskins continue to lead the Cowboys 24-10. So the Eagles will drop to 8 up and 5 down. And we will bring you the conclusion of the Redskins and the Cowboys coming up momentarily. The Seahawks will make it their 4th win in the last 5 games. Dennis Erickson and the Seahawks defeat the Philadelphia Eagles by the score of 26-14. Impressive day for Rick Meyer. Comes back after the loss to the Jets. 16-10 last week. Ray Rhodes and the Eagles now 8-5. The Seahawks remain in playoff contention with their 26-14 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Seahawks here at home now 4 up and 3 down. Philadelphia drops to 4-3 on the road. So the Seahawks win it by 12. Coming up, we'll take you to Dallas for the